Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate Day number 697, 6907, February 18th, 2019, Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, it looks like Carlos Danger is out of jail, otherwise known as Anthony's Weiner. It looks like he's out of jail and headed to the halfway house, where he will have to register as a sex offender. Now, the last time I heard, Huma had filed for divorce. I don't know if that's gone through yet or not, but I'm pretty sure he won't be going home to Huma. Not sure who he's going home to, but he'll be going home to the halfway house for the next 6 months or so. But anyway, there you go. If you live in New Jersey, New York, or in the surrounding area, you may want to keep your young daughters off the streets and off the internet, because Carlos Danger is back in business. Let's see. Well, we got creepy Joe Biden giving a speech in Europe. He's at this NATO conference with a lot of other politicians, former politicians and such. And, of course, he made a comment where he said, America is an embarrassment. America is an embarrassment. Now, typically, it's not considered very statesmanlike to go on foreign soil and say negatory things about the United States. But that's okay if you're Joe Biden, because he's a gaffe master to begin with, and he's an asshole on top of that. So there we have Joe Biden basically getting his digs in on Trump is what he's talking. He's not so much talking about America being an embarrassment. What he really means is that Trump is an embarrassment. That's what he means. And, of course, when it comes to embarrassment, he'll probably be the Democratic nominee. And when Trump gets done with him in 2020, he will be the embarrassment because he will get his butt kicked. During his speech, he discussed his upcoming trek across America. That tells me he's probably running, and he probably should run. He's been the front runner since day one, since the end of the 2016 election. He has always topped the polls as being the #1 pick for Democrats in 2020. I find it hard to believe that Crazy Joe is going to be able to pass this up, especially because he is going to have a lot of establishment Democrats and corporate donors telling him that he must run, because currently the entire field is going as hard left as you can go. They're all basically commie-crats, and the Democratic Party doesn't want to be destroyed at the corporate level where the donors are. So I think that they will do a lot of pushing on a creepy Uncle Joe to get him into the race, where he can get his ass kicked like Hillary did. And he will be the front runner, and as soon as he jumps in the race, you can say goodbye to Klobuchar and Gillibrand, because they are basically trying to occupy the same real estate that Joe Biden will be walking right into. And he has a healthy lead over all the rest of these people. He is the top vote. The last time I saw, it's like over 28%, 25, 28%, way dominant over everyone else. Everyone else is still in single digits. And if Joe Biden walks into the race, he will pretty much suck all the air out of the room. The only other person left out there that would demand some oxygen in the room would be Bernie, the commie Bernie. And of course, we expect that he'll throw his hat in the ring eventually. But at this time, he has not. But I would say it's very likely that Joe Biden will throw his hat in the ring. And when he does, of course, you can say goodbye to Gillibrand and Klobuchar. And he will try to separate himself from the extreme left of his party. He'll try to map out a spot where he is a centrist, even though he's not. He's actually a liberal, just a liberal. That's probably where Joe Biden will come down. Expect to hear him putting his name in the hat here in the not too distant future, whether he wants to or not. I think he's going to be forced into service, you might say. Well, next we have Lindsey Graham, who was on Deface the Nation. And on Deface the Nation, Lindsey Graham said that he is going to hold hearings to determine if top FBI and DOJ officials discussed a bureaucratic coup against the president. Well, of course they did. How do we know? Andy McCabe told us so. Andy told us about the 25th Amendment coup that he participated in with some of his friends. So the answer to that question, Lindsey, is yes. The top DOJ and FBI officials did discuss a bureaucratic coup against the president. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And the answer to that is nothing. The Senate Intelligence Committee can really do nothing but a criminal referral. Well, McCabe's already got 4 of those. No, what you really need is for McCabe and Rodenstein and all the rest to appear in front of a federal grand jury. A federal grand jury. That is what you really need. And of course, Graham says he does intend on giving a subpoena to Rodenstein and McCabe. I'd be very surprised if they answer any questions. Of course, if he subpoenas them, they must come. But I expect that they'll both either they'll plead the fifth, or they will say that they can't comment on it because it's part of an ongoing investigation. That would be, of course, the Mueller witch hunt. Federal grand jury. That's what you need. Stop playing around with Congress. Congress gets zero results. We've seen what they can do. It's nothing. What you need is a federal grand jury. Well, the latest on the Jussie Smollett situation is that it appears that now the two Nigerians are talking, if these media reports are true. And that's a big if. But if these media reports are true, it appears that the two Nigerians are cooperating, and that they have told the police that they actually rehearsed that assault. They provided the receipt for the clothesline that they brought, which was used for the noose. They say that they were paid $3,500, and we know that it appears, well, it appears, we don't know, but it appears that Smollett contacted them by phone just prior to the attack. Of course, Smollett, who first said he was attacked by white guys, which now has turned out to be black guys, has turned to a white guy for his criminal defense. That would be the white criminal defense lawyer that's also defending Cohen, Michael Cohen. So if these news reports are true, if this reporting is correct, then I would say that by the end of this week, Jussie Smollett is probably going to be brought up on charges. He's probably looking at, I think you can get up to 3 years in jail for reporting a false crime. And of course, they generally make you pay a fine for all the man hours that were spent on trying to solve the crime. In addition to that, the typical fines and fees and court costs. So this is going to be a very expensive proposition for Jussie Smollett. And his career is probably, I would say, over at this point. The Washington Examiner is reporting that 2 Trump cabinet officials were willing to go along with the 25th Amendment coup. According to the testimony of General Counsel for the FBI, James Baker, he says he was told by 2 officials that, who he would not name, that Rodenstein told them that a pair of cabinet officials were ready to oust Trump. Now, McCabe says that Rodenstein told him that Sessions, Jeff Sessions, and John Kelly were the 2 cabinet officials in question. Now, John Kelly would not surprise me at all. I always suspected John Kelly of being a turncoat, and I think he was one of the main leakers, because you notice since he's been gone, not so many leaks. Also, Sessions really kind of surprises me. I kind of saw Sessions as being inept, incompetent, and over his head, and not terribly loyal, but I never really thought he would do this. But if this is true, and we find out that this is true, that Sessions was willing to participate in a 25th Amendment coup, then that would pretty much sink the narrative that's been put out by a group of individuals that Sessions was the silent assassin who was quietly working behind the scenes to take down the deep state on behalf of Trump. But if this turns out to be true, we will have known for sure that that entire narrative was bullshit, which I suspected it was from the beginning. But yes, that's what we need to learn. Was Sessions one of the people who would have been interested in the 25th Amendment coup? If so, both Sessions and John Kelly are permanently, their names are permanently mud in the Republican Party. Not sure where they go or what their future may be. I assume none other than retirement. But neither of them will be eulogized very favorably as a result of this, if it turns out to be true. There have been reports in the last couple of days that Commie Bernie has recorded a video to announce his candidacy in 2020. Okay, so this throws another wrench into the spokes. We know all the candidates that are out there right now are all single-digit midgets. None of them have been able to even crack double digits. And that has a lot to do with the fact that the 2 most popular vote-getters for president and the nominee for the Democrats for president 2020 are Biden and Sanders, neither of which has actually entered the race at this time. Now, as I just mentioned, I do believe that Biden will eventually, whether he wants to or not, enter the race, just to try to keep the party from going over the far left, over the cliff. Now, the case of Bernie is a little more interesting, because the first question you have to ask is, if Bernie does enter the race, will he enter the race as an independent or as a Democrat? Because if I remember correctly, the DNC had put in place some certain rules back a few months ago to make it very, very difficult for someone like Bernie, and specifically Bernie himself, to move from an independent party to temporarily sign on as a Democrat only to get the nomination or what have you. So I think they've put some rules in place that will make that more difficult. So if Bernie does come out, he may actually have to run as an independent. Now, I don't believe that Bernie is going to get near the support that he got last time out. He'll still get some reasonably good support. He'll raise a lot of money, and of course he'll do like he did last time. He'll cave like a sissy that he is. There's no fight in Bernie whatsoever. Bernie will go in there, make as much money as he can, and he'll leave the race and buy him a new house, another new house, and another new luxury sedan, and he'll laugh about how hard he duped a bunch of commies, while he then endorses the party establishment. So that's pretty much what I see for Bernie. I do think he probably will throw his hat in the ring. I'm just not sure how he's going to do that, whether it's independent or Democrat. I don't think he presents a great threat to Biden. In fact, he probably helps Biden because he only sharpens the contrast between the commie-crats on the far, far left and the center of the party, which is where the party still pretty much is. But you get this really distorted perception that the entire Democratic Party has gone off the left-hand cliff. A lot of them have moved over into independence. Many of them voted for Trump. We know from the last rally he did in El Paso that almost half the people requesting tickets were Democrats. So I guess what this tells us, I think, is that if Biden is by far the top vote recipient of the potential hopefuls in 2020 for the Democrats, he's getting 25 to 28%, and no one else is even able to crack into double digits, even though they're all going hard left. What that tells you is that while the hard left may be a dominating force on social media and Twitter, and they may make the loudest noise and get the most attention, the fact of the matter is the numbers tell us that the average Democratic voter is looking more toward a centrist, someone that they could describe as a centrist, which would be Joe Biden, who's really not a centrist. He's really just a liberal. So what that would so these two get in the race. You can say goodbye to, goodbye to Gillibrand and Klobuchar because they're occupying the same real estate as Biden. He would assume that real estate and they would be gone. They wouldn't be able to keep up with him. Certainly not in money raising and not in anything else. Biden will raise a ton of money. That would leave Bernie. And so what you could end up with is the final two fighting it out would be Bernie and Biden. And I believe that Biden would win that contest. But it would certainly be very divisive for the Democratic Party, and that would split the party clearly between the hard left and the centrist or so-called centrist. Because what you would really have here is a commie running as a democratic socialist, running against a liberal who's running as a centrist. And what you have here in both cases is rich old white guys, one from the establishment and one who say he opposes the establishment, but once he's pressed, he falls in line behind them, supports and even campaigns for the establishment, takes his money, goes home, laughs, and buys a new vacation home. So I don't really see what you've got going on here except for a train wreck. And regardless of who it is, either of these guys will be destroyed by Trump in 2020. So I did a video about a week ago. I said it's just a matter of time before some loony left-wing doctor is going to come out and come up with an actual medical definition for Trump derangement syndrome. And I was saying this halfway serious, halfway in jest, suggesting that the perpetrators of the Spygate crime are going to be needing some sort of a criminal defense. I mean, we just had McCabe come on TV and admit to a 25th Amendment coup. That's usually pretty bad, and I wouldn't recommend you do that. But since he did, he and his friends are going to need some sort of a defense, and right now they don't have much of one. So I'm suggesting that the only defense they may have is temporary insanity. So they're going to have to come up with something that created them to go into a state of temporary insanity. And I'm suggesting that someone's going to come out, some left-wing kook quack doctor, and give us a definition for Trump derangement syndrome. And they can say, well, obviously McCabe and Comey and all the rest, Strzok and Page and all the rest, they were temporarily overcome with a mental disorder, which we call Trump derangement syndrome, and that's why they did what they did. It's the insanity defense. It's the only one they have. So I made a joke about it again yesterday. But guess what we discovered today? Oh yes, guess what we discovered today? We discovered today that there already is a left-wing whack job lawyer. It's this sex therapist named Susan Block, who has already jumped on this train and is already writing it. And it's a matter of time before more passengers jump on, and it will eventually morph itself into probably the insanity defense for the Spygate conspirators. So here it is. It appears that it starts off with something called Trump anxiety disorder. Trump anxiety disorder. So the leftist, apparently, according to Susan Block, who's a sex therapist, she's saying that lefties, anti-Trumpers, cannot get laid due to Trump disorder, due to their Trump disorder. Now, first of all, I don't agree with that because, I've seen a lot of these videos of a lot of these left-wing social justice warrior types, and when I look at these people, I'm pretty sure it's not Trump that is the reason that they cannot get laid. I'm pretty sure it's some other things. But according to the sex therapist, Susan Block, Trump has caused in the country suicidal tendencies and depression. That's funny, because just about everybody I know that likes Trump is happy as they can be. They've never been so happy or optimistic for America and for their own outlook and their own jobs and careers and futures. This appears to be a disease that only seems to be affecting the left, which is where Susan Block is. So she's saying that she's describing this as post-traumatic Trump disorder. Post-traumatic Trump disorder. She says that women do not want to have sex because Trump is creepy. And so I believe that this is eventually going to morph itself into an actual disease. They actually classify this as a disease. There'll be enough people getting treatment for it. And this will be used as the defense for the perpetrators in the Spygate conspiracy. McCabe and all his friends need some reason to plead temporary insanity. And I guess that post-traumatic Trump disorder just may be the elixir that they're seeking. Thought I was joking, didn't you? Nope. Well, the Yellow Vest protests are now into week 14, and they are now claiming that they have paramilitary forces ready to overthrow Macron. Well, the backstory here is that there's been a lot of French military guys getting out of the military and joining the Yellow Vest, and that they're wanting to use their military skills to help engineer an overthrow of Macron. He's currently sitting around 18% in the polls. That's devastatingly low. I don't know how he can still stay in power with numbers that low. But everything he has tried in response to the Yellow Vest has failed. Now he has given the police the authority to really step up the amount of aggressive force they can use against the protesters. He's also got the media to stop showing it on TV or reporting on it. But French citizens, people in France, they know what's going on the ground. They don't need the news media to tell them. They can see it right outside their window. And as far as how successful, if there will be a physical overthrow of Macron, I don't know. I don't know. But I know that his current position is untenable and it's unrecoverable. I don't know that he's going to serve out his full term. I've been in that area of the world at this time of year during the winter months, and it's damn cold. It's not, it's not fun being out there in the protest and the freezing cold out there where they are. But I can tell you that when the warm weather gets here, and it's not far away, and especially when summer gets here, you're going to see the size of these rallies, these Yellow Vest protests, are going to grow by 3, 4, 5 times, and things are going to get really, really heated up. At the same time, you're going to be having a lot of other things happening within the EU with the Brexit. You're going to have the parliamentary elections in May. It looks like right-wing populist nationalist types are going to dominate those elections. You're probably going to have a European central bank crisis on top of the fact that you've got Brexit happening, hard Brexit most likely. All those billions of dollars that the EU is used to getting in their coffers are not going to be coming anymore from Great Britain. I see a very, very, very difficult year coming up in Europe in 2019, particularly during the summer months. A lot of protests, mini revolutions, counter-revolutions, counter-culture revolutions, green revolution, you name it. It's all coming to Europe in 2019. It's going to be a mess. I think it's going to take a year or two to sort itself out. And when it does, if there's any EU left at all, it will be nothing more than a trading bloc. That's my opinion. We also can see what's going on in Spain. The left-wing government in Spain is now caught up in a massive corruption scandal. Their poll numbers are also in the tank. We have possibly a really bad situation happening there, which could result in snap elections, which could occur at the end of March or in April. And it looks like the two center-right parties have now merged together. They're still separate parties, but they're now working together. And it appears that these two center-right, sort of populist nationalist parties in Spain are very well positioned to take over leadership in the government there in Spain. So we could see Spain being the next country to move more toward the populist nationalist center-right, whatever you want to call it, moving in that direction, and another leftist globalist government outed. That's good news. Well, we are getting the reports that Matt Whitaker is going to be staying on at the Department of Justice and that he is going to become the counselor for the AG, the deputy AG. So whoever William Barr names as his deputy AG, it appears that Whitaker is going to become his general counsel. Now, this is very interesting. When you look at the story we had earlier with Sessions possibly being involved in the 25th Amendment thing, we know that Whitaker was brought in very quietly about a year ago to be the chief of staff to Sessions. And now we see that Whitaker is, in some regards, being rewarded for whatever he's been doing. This is a reward. So it makes you wonder exactly what Whitaker did. And just my guess is that at some point they must have gotten very suspicious of Sessions, maybe things they heard or saw, or maybe just pure frustration. Whatever it was, they brought Whitaker in to be his chief of staff, meaning he would have the ability to see and watch what Sessions is doing. And in other words, to spy on Sessions, to keep his eye on Sessions, and maybe to acquire information, to compile information, to be sort of the watchful eye. In fact, he was described by someone, I forget who it was, in Trump's cabinet as being sort of their eyes and ears over at the DOJ. So this is the position Whitaker was occupying. So I think that this is a payback, a career payback for the work he did. And I think that we'll probably learn more about exactly what work he did when we get to the bottom of this stinking barrel of fish called Spygate, the conspiracy to frame Trump. I think when we get to the bottom of it, we might find that Whitaker, at the time when he came in, may have played a more important role than we think now. He may have acquired some certain information. He may have been someone who once brought in was able to put a check on Sessions. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more about this interplay when we get to the bottom of this stinking barrel of fish. John Ratcliffe was on Maria Bartiromo on Sunday morning. He was analyzing the various comments being made by Comey and McCabe and Rodenstein and all the rest, and he says that his experience as a federal prosecutor has taught him that when you start seeing these inconsistencies in testimonies and statements being made by people, that's an indication that people are either turning on each other or they're preparing to turn on each other. And that's exactly what I've been speculating on for a very long time myself, and I know a lot of you agree with that. That's exactly what that is a general indication of. He also says that McCabe is not credible. But he points out one other thing, which I haven't heard anyone else point out, including myself. And Ratcliffe says that 8 days after McCabe started the investigations, which he mentions two, the counterintelligence operation and the investigation to obstruction for firing Comey, Ratcliffe says that 8 days after McCabe started those two investigations, he interviewed for the director's job with President Trump. Yeah, how about that? So here's Andy McCabe. Look at these events. Comey is fired on May the 9th. And that evening, McCabe and Trump talk. The next day, McCabe and Trump talk again. Then, on the 11th, the day after that, McCabe opens up these two investigations. Then he is interviewed by Congress. He gives testimony in front of Congress under oath, where he says that in the conversations he had with Trump, that Trump never obstructed or tried to intervene or get involved or cause any problem with his investigations. In fact, he says the investigations did not even come up. Yet, he filed obstruction case against Trump, despite the fact that he just said that Trump never tried to do anything to obstruct. But he opened up an obstruction case anyway. Now, in addition to that, 8 days after he opens up the obstruction case, he interviews with the FBI director for the FBI director's job with Trump. You see. So what he is basically telling us is that he would have been willing to become the FBI director under the person that he thought needed to be removed from office. See, there's a lot of problems that McCabe has. A lot of problems. The type of problems that usually end up putting you in a small cell. And I think that's where he's obviously going to end up. But he's going to take a lot of people down with him when he goes. Who told us that? He did. Ratcliffe also says that Barr could be the most consequential AG in history. That's true. If he does what he's supposed to do, and he does what he said he would do, apply equal justice under the law, he will be the most consequential Attorney General in American history. And, of course, Ratcliffe also said he wants Barr to tell Mueller to put up or shut up. Yeah, and I do think that that's going to happen. I do think that William Barr is going to talk to Mueller probably sometime this week and say, okay, you've been on this investigation. What do you got? It's Trump Russia. What do you got? And if he can't really prove that there's anything going on or might be going on or worth investigating any more Trump Russia, I think Barr is going to try to get Mueller to really wrap this thing up as soon as possible. And I do expect that to happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. Again, I'm not a very big supporter of Barr. He could win me over, but I'm going to have to see what he does. But I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt at this point. I've seen too much. I'm too jaded. I'm just not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Time to name the dumbass of the week. And of course, it was a very, very difficult decision this week. That's why I put it off on you guys. It was getting hard for me to pick. It's much better and easier, I think, if I just poll all you guys and then count up your votes and then anoint the dumbass of the week that way. I think it's a better way to do it. And I appreciate all of your participation and taking all the time and energy to sift through all that and come up to a conclusion and then to make your comment in the comments section where it could be counted. I do appreciate your participation. Let's go through the results. We have Patty Willing. She believes that Ocasio-Cortez should be Dumbass of the Year. And she believes that the people of the 5th District of Minnesota should be the Dumbass of the Week for electing Ilhan Omar. Yes, sir. That is a very good analysis by Patty Willing. That's her thoughts on the subject. We get Internet Privacy Advocate. He believes that the 26% of Democrats that support a continued Russia collusion investigation should be Dumbass of the Week. Certainly, they're very deserving. Thank you so much. Fern believes it's Smollett. Fern goes for Smollett. Oregon. He believes that the cable news viewers who believe what they hear are Dumbasses of the Week. That's true every week, Oregon. Thank you so much. Jonathan Smollett. Thank you, Jonathan. Thesaurus. Ocasio-Cortez. Thank you, Thesaurus. We have Babs chiming in. She believes Beto, the skateboarder, because of his comment, borders kill people. Yeah, that and dancing along with the mariachi band and that whole freak show that was supposed to be a counter rally that was a disaster. Thank you so much, Babs, for your vote for Beto. Then we have Larry. He couldn't decide. Larry has given us his first choice, McCabe, his second, Cortez, and third, Schiff. Thank you very much, Larry, for those contributions. We'll certainly will be duly counted. I think Regina was going for Ocasio-Cortez. I don't think she specifically said that, but I think her indication was that she supported Ocasio-Cortez for Dumbass of the Week. We had Douglas going for Kamala Harris for her all Jamaicans are potheads comment. Yeah, that and many other things would qualify her as well. We have Chevy Van. He likes number 1, Pelosi, number 2, McCabe, number 3, Frank the Ex-Bouncer. Not sure who Frank the Ex-Bouncer is. Maybe I should, but I don't. Maybe I need to think about it. But anyway, that's duly noted by Chevy Van. Michelle, she goes for Pelosi, Madam Botox. Yes, she's absolutely qualified once again to be in the running. Thank you so much, Michelle, for your vote. We have also, agreeing with Michelle, we have Johnny. He also likes Nancy, Madam Botox, for the award. We have Jeanette, who chimed in with Cortez as a first choice, Smollett number 2, McCabe number 3. Well, Jeanette, you just may get your dream just may come true. Your wish may just come true. Very good analysis by Jeanette. Rocky went with A.O. Cortez. T.W. Wintex with Cortez. Peter, he likes Ilhan Omar for Dumbass of the Week, with Ande is number 2 and Smollett number 3. Thank you so much, Peter. Then we have Gene. He goes with Madam Botox. Another vote for Madam Botox. Thank you, Gene. I think Mona wants Andy. Thank you, Mona. Of course, Mrs. Miggins, she's all in for Smollett. Mrs. Miggins for Smollett. Thank you, Mrs. Miggins. And of course, Robin's in for McCabe. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be in for McCabe, is it not? He went on TV and said that he supports was participant in discussions of the 25th Amendment coup. Yeah, that'll certainly bump up your hopes for being Dumbass of the Week on TowerGate. And then, of course, across the pond, we've got our good friend Mike G. He likes the skateboarder, Beto O'Rourke. Thank you so much, Mike. So let's tally them up. It was a very, very close competition. Again, it looks like this week it is going to be in first place, getting almost 2-1 over the challengers. Ocasio, Marty Feldmanized, Cortex is going to win for the second week in a row. So looks like number 1 is going to be Ocasio-Cortez. Congratulations to all of those of you who believe that Cortez should be the Dumbass of the Week. You are right. But we had a very, very tight race for second place, where we had a dead tie between Madam Botox and Jussie Smollett. They tied for second place with the equal amount of votes. And then, literally, only one vote behind them, we had Andy McCabe. So very, very tight competition this week. AOC clearly a little bit ahead of everybody else, but then the battle for second and third place, very tight, with Madam Botox and Smollett tying for second. Andy McCabe coming up just one vote short of being in a three-way tie. He'll take honorable mention at third place. Thank you so much for your participation. Now, I want to take one last moment here to comment on Ocasio-Cortez. Some people said, hey, it's not fair. She should be out of the running. It's not fair. But if you remember, we ran into the same thing about a year ago with Mad Maxine Waters. And a lot of people said, oh, we got to take her off the list because it just she'll win every week. So I chose not to do that. But we'll keep watching. Maybe it'll get that bad. I don't know. But maybe if we take her off the list, we'll just name the award after her, but she won't be eligible for it anymore. Maybe we'll do something like that. Let's just watch and see what happens. But, I've been watching Ocasio-Cortez, and, she's, in a lot of ways, and we like to have a lot of fun with her, but in a lot of ways, I mean, there's a lot of admirable qualities that she has. I think that the thing with Ocasio-Cortez is that she's like the wrong person, the right person in the wrong job. She's just not in the right job, I think. She's a congressman, and she needs something loftier that's equal to her level of talent. Now, as everyone knows, her biggest talent is that she's, of course, stupid. That's her primary talent. She's stupid. And again, I just think that, she's got a lot of energy. She's motivated. She's passionate. She's got a lot of admirable qualities, which, if they were put into the right position, would be something that would be beneficial. And so I'm thinking that what Trump needs to do is he needs to create a new cabinet-level position for Ocasio-Cortez so that we can adequately use her God-given talents, her primary one being that she's stupid. So I think that Trump should create a new cabinet-level position called the Ambassador of Stupid. The Ambassador of Stupid, and nominate Ocasio-Cortez to be the Ambassador of Stupid. Clearly, when you look around the country and around the world, there's many, many, many very stupid people who really have no one representing them. So, in this way, I think we could put Ocasio-Cortez, Marty Feldmanized talents to work. to do something positive. She could be the ambassador of stupid, representing all the stupid people that support her. So that's my thoughts on a positive note. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate.